Elon Musk's Hyperloop has attracted the attention of all his nerdy fanboys and all the unsavvy, kind of dunderheaded news reporters who want to believe that he's the next Nikola Tesla, but more savvy urbanists, such as ourselves, have viewed his project as mostly a laughable disaster. But why exactly is that? What makes this such bad urban design? Elon Musk is a laughable figure to me in a lot of ways, not least of which being, among other things, his tendency to get into Twitter fights with complete nobodies despite being the richest person in the world, more or less, depending on how the stocks go up and down. And his having basically the intellectual savvy of a naive 13-year-old boy, his complete devotion to the Onion until it turned on him, at which point he completely abandoned it, his legacy of union busting at Tesla, and that's just the beginning. He claims to be a world-altering genius, like Nikola Tesla, but his claims are ludicrously overblown. And though he's not the worst billionaire necessarily, he is the one who is easiest to make fun of. But the biggest problem with the Hyperloop doesn't really relate to any of this. It's more that Elon Musk just really does not understand what public transportation is or should be. He doesn't understand its ethos. Look at the Hyperloop in Vegas, that the city spent so much money bringing to fruition because it was so wrongly committed to his bizarre dreams. It's just this tunnel that you shoot Teslas into one at a time. You just put them at the start of the tunnel and then the Hyperloop shoots them to the end. It's a very slow and tedious looking process, and although to a certain extent I assume, to give him the absolute benefit of the doubt, that it will be straightened out in the future, the fact remains that the basis of this project is intellectually and theoretically bankrupt. The thing all the car people love to say is how cars bring them freedom, but there's definitely no freedom in this. Like public transportation, it just takes you from one spot to another in a straight and direct way, but it offers none of the actual benefits of public transportation, that being, among other things, the ability to move a large amount of people from one place to another place consistently and reliably. Even if the kinks in this Hyperloop get straightened out, you are still not going to be able to move people in a reasonable amount of time just because you are simply moving one car at a time, as opposed to, say, a train, which has a lot of people that it moves from one place to another. This is not something that can be fixed by just straightening out a few bugs. It is bone deep to the problems with this project as a whole. And all of this makes a lot of sense once you realize that Elon Musk does not really like public transportation. He's said as much. That's not just me making it up. He said that he's always afraid when he's riding public transit that he's going to be attacked by a serial killer. All I can say to that is that I rode the New York public transportation quite a bit, and yes, at times it can be quite a bit sketchy for reasons that have little to do with public transit itself and a lot more to do with New York's failure to provide for the poor and disenfranchised in its city, but that's a different story. But even considering the problems with New York public transit, I felt much more safe there than I feel in a car when I'm on a highway and there are all these other cars just rushing in seemingly random directions down these bizarre Byzantine intersections at 60, 70 miles an hour. Honestly, I think it's much more likely that Elon Musk just does not want to be in public transit with people who might recognize him and think, hey, this guy's kind of a phony and a charlatan. Elon Musk does seem to be very thin-skinned that way. The entire ethos of having public transportation in this modern car-centric age is to solve distinct problem. Too many people in cars means that the streets get crowded. There's a lot of traffic and no one gets anywhere. It's miserable, it's a time sink, and it's not appropriate to the dignity I think that we should aspire to have as human beings. The promise of public transportation is that it takes a lot of those people out of cars and into buses and trains that efficiently and effectively carry a lot of people from one place to another. The effects of this are that the streets clear up, and the result is better for everyone, including people who drive, because there are a lot fewer cars on the road. Elon Musk's Hyperloop does not solve this. It does not solve any real problems facing cities. It's the same basic ethos as just deciding, oh, there's too many cars on the highway, let's just add another lane, that'll solve everything. And, of course, that never works. Because of induced demand. If you add more lanes, people are going to choose to drive more. Elon Musk's Hyperloop, which is basically just a highway underground, as even CNN says, although they mean it in a much different tone of voice than I'm saying it. They seem to think that's a good idea. I assuredly do not. But even that comparison to a highway underground really demonstrates that this is just the same logic as adding more lanes, just dressed up in a false guise of technological innovation. It doesn't solve any actual problems. Instead of just giving more money to charlatans like this to pursue their vanity projects, we should invest a lot of money in building high-quality, efficient, and effective buses and trains that work for everyone. So thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If there are any videos you would like to see me do about any aspect of public transportation or urban planning or really anything involving cities whatsoever, please tell me in the comments. I would love to hear your suggestions. Anyway, tune in soon for my next video. You might get it in a week or so. We'll see how that goes. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.